Hi, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I thought today I'd just do a little bit of reminiscing on that wonderful institution, a wonderful organisation called Kodak, who were largely responsible for, probably 100 years ago now, getting photography off the ground with all their products and cameras, both stills and movie cameras and everything under the sun. And back in the day, that's what many of us started with. There were other film brands, of course, that became popular, like Agfa and Fuji and whatever. But Kodak was they were the game changers, or the game starters, really, back in the day. And I thought I'd just, these days we can learn about photography by watching YouTube videos, and I do a lot of that, and I create a few here too. But back in the day, we were blessed to have many books put out, a lot of them by Kodak, on how to take good pictures. I'm going to show you a couple of them in a minute. Maybe just a little bit of reminiscing here. Look at that. That's a Kodak retouching outfit. Let's have a look and see what's inside. Because in the day, we didn't have Photoshop or any of the other programs to actually retouch our photos. And here you have in here, just hold that up there for you. Maybe you can bring that over there. You might be able to read that a bit. That's what it is. Some bottles and some retouching tools in there. For retouching photographic negatives, contains one artist's pencil holder with special retouching lead, one tube of refills, one artist's spotting brush, one bottle of Kodak retouching medium, and one bottle of Kodak opaque spotting medium. My dad used to have a home darkroom many years ago, and he set it all up himself, and he used to do some retouching as well, using tints to colour the photos, colour the black and white photos. Speaking of that, he actually made, this is not a Kodak person, but he actually, well, he might have been affiliated with Kodak, but this is a little book where my dad actually made his own enlarger years ago. And it was, I've spoken about it before on this platform and probably on my blogs, but this was by a guy called Gordon Catling, and you should look him up. This was in the Focal series. Focal put out a lot of little photographic guides, and goodness knows when this was published. Let's have a look and see. Don't know that it tells us. The Focal Press, London and New York. But anyway, it tells you how to, there's some of the construction details there. I have done a PDF of this in the past and sent it to someone who was interested. But you could build your own enlarger. I don't know whether Kodak taught you how to do that. But the essence of how to take good pictures, they put out heaps of little books that normally we would learn off the internet now. Here's one that goes quite back. Well, I'll show a couple of other products, of course, just to set the setting. There's our familiar gold color with the Kodak logo, and these films you can still get. There's one there waiting to be processed. Bring it in close, and they're all good products. And then even here, I found in my archives here, this is a microfilm, recording microfilm records. And this one here, I don't know how I came by this, but it's from the State Library, Kodak Film Records, Public Library of South Australia Micro Filming Service. And you have a look in here. And these, of course, were professional sort of applications that they used in libraries. You have a look in here and got that apparatus there. And I don't really know what all this stuff is, but if you wind it down far enough, you do get a look at what's some of the microfilming that's on here, the ways of keeping records. Hang on, we'll just go a bit further. Here we are. Now we're getting some things there, you see. So basically heaps and heaps of records on there, whereas these days we'd scan things and put them on our computers and keep a digital index. But back in the day, and still a lot of these things would still be available to research from and find stuff from public libraries around the world, I would imagine. Another service that Kodak used to provide. Apart from still photography, of course, there was all the home movies, which I've got heaps of home movies that we made in this family here. But let's go back to some of these books. Here's one, How to Make Good Pictures. Don't we all want to know that? And when was this from? This has got lots of illustrations and how-tos. It was, I should research these a little bit more than when I open them up. But I mean, there's the index there, all sorts of interesting topics. Beautiful photograph there, black and white illustration. This book touched on colour as well. And in fact, this little bit here, I'll just read this little bit here. Kodachrome, there you go. This is telling us all about Kodachrome. I'll just read from that. Interesting, you know, Paul Simon made a record called Kodachrome. I'll put a link underneath. You can actually hear that on YouTube, I think. You probably didn't know that. Some of us photographers know things like that. Okay, here we go. Kodachrome. This is what it says on this page. For full colour pictures with miniature cameras. See, 35mm cameras were called miniatures in those days. With a Kodak 35 Retina or similar, that's what I cut my teeth on, or a Bantam, a Kodak Bantam, I think I've got one of those here, you can make pictures in full colour as easily as you take ordinary black and white snapshots if you load with Kodachrome film. Kodachrome is a unique Kodak film that provides owners of miniature cameras with gorgeous pure colour transparencies which can be viewed in their original size or projected onto a screen. It is available in 20 exposure daylight loading cassettes for cameras taking 35mm film and 8 exposure daylight loading spools for Bantams. The price of the film includes processing by Kodak Limited. One of the major pleasures of using Kodachrome is that you can take pictures in colour at night by artificial photo flood light as well as by daylight. Kodachrome Type A has its emulsion especially adjusted to suit the particular colour composition of photo flood light, and Kodachrome Regular is for use by daylight, providing you use the correct grade to suit the type of illumination no filter is needed. Full details of how to expose Kodachrome are enclosed in every carton, and you should read these notes carefully before you start. Kodak apparatus is available for viewing and projecting Kodachrome transparencies made up as film slides. There you go. So all the things that we take for granted as far as ISO, film speeds, simulated looks on our cameras and all that sort of stuff, you had to, and we've got white balance settings, whereas in the old days, in these days, you used to have a film designed for whatever lighting you were using. So that's a wonderful book. How to Take Good Pictures. You might want to look that up. The Kodak Manual for Amateur Photographers. And a couple more I found here. These are put out by Kodak. More here's how and more here's how. And there's some good topics in here. Photographing children, pushing colour film, photographing wildflowers, flash and travel, Kodak Colorama, slide manipulation, and on this one, titling techniques, building a photographic blind for nature pictures, the anatomy of an exhibition photograph, Kodacolor X film for the craftsman, multiple flash for pictures pep, make them lift, some chit chat about lenses, shooting the stars. So people were way back into all that stuff that we do now these days, and people show us how to do it on YouTube. Some beautiful color things in here. What's this one here? This is a little bit of an illustration of some fill flash there. So the top one would have been taken without the flash and the bottom one with a bit of fill flash there, which a lot of people don't use these days. They just think they can fix everything in Lightroom or Photoshop or whatever. And this is an article all about depth of field, which is so important. Hang on, where do I go? Put that up there. So important for photographers to learn how to do that, and what settings, either automatic or manually, you need to adjust to get your depth of field in your photos. Beautiful little books, these. They've got a wealth of information. This one here that I was reading yesterday, it's about an interesting one about composition. And there's different ways of, I mean, we all talk about the rule of thirds, but there's a lot of other rules of composition in there too, which they've got outlined in there. And just have a look at that. You can see that where the shapes are going on the right-hand side and showing an S-curve and what do they call them? Peekaboo. This one here with the, where is it? There, that one there. With the little boy there. I've taken shots like that. That's the peekaboo look of composition. Everyday subject matter can be pictorial, such as a child in her crib. Make sure that all elements of the picture contribute to the story you wish to convey. In this instance, the all-important eyes of the child are located in the dynamic position dictated by the rule of thirds. There you go. The photograph's impact is due largely to the tremendous contrast of tone between the face and the background, the strong human interest element and its simplicity. Simple harmony is always most effective. So there you go. That's what I just read. You can have a closer look at that picture there. Just get the light a bit right. You think that what they were talking about was correct in that? And then you've got studying angles. And this one down here with the flower here, with the S-curve there, that's called the strange thing, the messenger of Zeus. The line of beauty or S-curve can be found almost everywhere in nature. In this study of an iris, the S arrangement of the stem and flower suggests grace and beauty and provides easy travel for the eye. The plain background serves to show the flower to best advantage, and the very simplicity of the photograph increases its effectiveness. Because the flower represents a very dominant center of interest, it successfully commands the dead center positioning. See, there's no rule of thirds there in that flower. There's right in the middle, but the S-curve is, and what they're saying there is the flower represents a very dominant center of interest. It successfully commands the dead center positioning. So these books are really got lots of information that we can still learn from today. Some chit chat about lenses. They get into all the technical things that some of us care about and other people don't. And the 6 possible camera motions. There you are, all about camera shape, which we talk about. We have inbuilt camera shape in our cameras these days. And the 6 positions. And there you can see a diagram there of those 6 positions. Camera or anything else can be moved linearly in 3 ways and turned in 3 more ways. There you go. There's really good information in these, and different authors of them. A bit about blur and motion blur, which you can do, of course, these days, and we're able to do all this manually by setting our cameras. So that's a little bit about still photography, but they were also into movies, how to make good movies. And I'll just grab a movie camera. I should have had it ready, but I'll just grab one. So back in the day, hope you enjoyed my mess behind me while I was up having a look around. Back in the day, this is the movie camera that my dad started off with. I've shown this on this YouTube channel before, and I've talked about this camera on the YouTube channel before. But this is a Yashica camera. It wasn't a Kodak one, but of course Kodak had lots. So this is a clockwork wind-up standard 8 or ordinary 8mm movie camera. And I actually have got a film that has never been exposed here somewhere that I could put in this. And you've got 2 viewing platforms there to actually shoot the thing. There you go, you can hear it going. Wait a minute, what happened then? Why did that stop? Maybe it needs winding up a bit more. Okay, you can listen to the nice rattle of the motor going there. The clockwork motor. And of course with these cameras, you had to, inside here, you had to change, like a tape recorder, you had to change the tape over or the film over halfway through and then play it back again, because this was actually a 16mm film stock that when they processed it, they cut it down the middle. So you're filming through these lenses on either side of the film, and then when you get it back, it comes back in one continuous piece, 8mm cut down the middle of the 16mm. So back in the day, you still had to learn what you can do in movie making these days. Everyone sort of learns how to do all the different tricks of the trade with movie cameras, but you still need to know all the rules that they used to teach us back then are in this book here, or in these books. I've got a later version of this one here. I'll show you in a minute, but let's maybe show you a few illustrations in here. All sorts of text and photographs and how to do it. So I'll just go through some of the topics in the index. Anyway, look at that nice color. That's obviously taken with a Kodachrome and capturing a family outing. This illustration was made directly from Kodachrome film. It is full, rich and amazingly realistic coloring, can be duplicated by the use of any standard 8mm or 16mm movie camera loaded with Kodachrome film. So there you go, you get the same look as you got from the prints and the stills on the movie film. This is a non-technical handbook for those considering the ownership of an amateur movie camera, and for those already actively engaged in the making of home movies who want to improve the interest and quality of their films. There was an index here. Here we go. I'll just read out some of the index. Camera angles, animation, apertures, artificial light, assembling the cameras, cleaning the camera, cleaning film, cleaning projector, composition, continuity, diaphragm, dolly shots, double exposure, editing, equipment servicing, filters, movies at night, movies in color, newsreels, overexposure, panoramaing, projection, reflections, showing movies, signature shots, sighting, silhouettes, slow motion, snow scenes, and it goes on and on. So there you go. Heaps of information about these. You can go through a book like this and use it with modern equipment and still it's all very relevant. And this one here is a little bit later with color on the front, of course. Home Movies Made Easy by the editors of Eastman Kodak Company. About this one, this book, Home Movies Made Easy, is filled with simple, practical information to help you make home movies that you'll be proud of. Illustrated movie making tips show you how to capture your good times in movies without having to make a big production of it. Whether you make your movies with a simple camera or a more advanced one, you'll be able to improve your home movies dramatically by following the advice in this book. If you're new to movie making, chances are you'll find that seeing your first movies on the screen will make you want to take more and more movies. Continued on the back flap. Let's see what some of the stuff in here. Familiar terminology, close up and medium distance and long distance. We do our long shots and our close-up shots and short shots and whatever. So it covers everything that the modern person needs to know, and also underwater movies as well. These books were a wealth of information, close-up things. So there you go. It's just a little bit of remembering Kodak and what they've done for all of us photographers over the years. And they're not so big now, of course, producing the process, still producing film, which is a good thing. But there you go. I hope you found that interesting. Just a little bit of a walk back down memory lane and where we've come and why we've come here to this point. Well, some of us who are my age anyway, but for young people, it's a good idea to get back into some of these old books and learn the history of photography so you can better understand what your cameras and all the processing programs, post-processing programs do for you, what are trying to do for you. Whereas in the old days, of course, people had home darkrooms. I never had one, but my dad did. And you still can. A lot of young people these days are getting back into particularly shooting film and shooting black and white film and processing it at home. It is relatively easy to do that. Anyway, I hope you found that interesting. Thanks for watching, and like if you like, subscribe if you wish, and I'll see you next time. Over and out.